I used to believe New Year's resolutions were harmless, because I needed to. When you wear a badge long enough, survival depends on selective blindness. You tell yourself the system bends toward good. You tell yourself procedure equals justice. You tell yourself if something is truly wrong, someone higher up will notice and correct it. I was very good at telling myself things. I joined the department at 32. Old enough to already be tired. The factory where I worked shut down without warning, and my father, who'd spent 3 decades convincing himself loyalty mattered, drank himself into a stroke that stole half his speech and none of his resentment. Policing wasn't a calling. It was structure, clear hierarchies, clean lines. You did the job, filled out the form, and moved on. I married my high school girlfriend because it felt like finishing something. Instead of asking whether it still fit, we learned to live parallel lives and called it stability. Graveyard shifts suited me. Nights didn't pretend to be kind. People stopped performing and showed you what they actually were. I liked that. It felt honest, even when it was ugly. New Year's Eve was usually controlled chaos. Drunks, domestics, fireworks, complaints. Midnight was theater. A loud excuse to believe things could reset without being examined. That year, at 11:58 p.m., the city felt different. Not anxious, not excited, evaluative. Dispatch didn't slow because of volume. It slowed because of tone. Calls came in clean, stripped of emotion. Officers responded the same way, short acknowledgments, no filler. My partner stopped tapping his fingers against the dash. Like he'd realized motion itself was unnecessary. He said the air felt heavy. I told him it was the weather. But my chest tightened in a way I recognized, the same pressure I felt years earlier, when internal affairs suggested I adjust language. So a report wouldn't complicate things, the same feeling as swallowing something sharp and pretending it hadn't got. On the way down, midnight hit, fireworks detonated across the city. Light without warmth, noise without joy, the delay between explosion and echo stretched just long enough to feel intentional, like the sound was waiting for permission. At 12:01 a.m., the first call came in. Apartment complex, possible fire. No alarm, no screaming. Inside, a man sat at his kitchen table, like he was posing for an instructional video, spine straight, hands folded. One gunshot boomed through the head, angled perfectly. No splatter on the walls, no overturned furniture, no sign of panic. The stove burned something unidentifiable, charred past recognition, filling the room with a bitter smell that clung to my uniform. On the table lay a legal pad aligned precisely with the edge. New Year's resolutions: be honest, stop lying, take responsibility. Below it, written slowly, deliberately, this is what that looks like. There are tally marks in the margin. 5 of them. Neat. Purposeful. Later, we learned he worked in compliance auditing for a healthcare contractor. His job, to identify fraud, inefficiency, ethical shortcuts, and reclassify them as acceptable loss. He'd written reports that buried negligence under professional language. He'd signed off on decisions that cost people money, health, sometimes lives, and told himself he was only following protocol. No drugs, no alcohol, no hesitation. He didn't kill himself because he hated himself. He killed himself because, for 1 minute, he stopped lying about what he was. The second call came before we finished clearing the scene. A woman at a scenic overlook. Her car was parked perfectly, engine off, wheels straight. She hadn't jumped. She hadn't driven off the cliff. She stepped out, closed the door, walked to a precise spot, and cut her own throat. The blood pooled neatly, like she'd planned the geometry. My phone sat unlocked on the passenger seat. Resolution: stop pretending I'm happy. By 1 a.m., the pattern was undeniable. A mortgage underwriter who approved loans he knew would collapse, then drowned himself in a scrub bathtub. A pharmaceutical sales rep who pushed unnecessary drugs for bonuses, then injected himself with insulin he didn't need, carefully dosed. A college admissions consultant who sold false hope to desperate families, then stepped into traffic without flinching. Different methods, same discipline. Every death occurred between 12 and 1 a.m. The department called it coincidence, cluster behavior, seasonal psychology, anything that framed it as individual weakness, anything that preserved the fiction that the structure itself was neutral. But the notebooks told a different story. Every victim had a resolution. That wasn't aspirational, it was corrective. Be honest, stop lying, take responsibility, make it right. And every scene showed calculation, measurements, lists, tallies. Evidence of people auditing themselves with the same cruelty they'd applied to others. These weren't emotional collapses, they were audits. We started digging quietly, off the books, cross-referencing employment histories, settled lawsuits, complaints dismissed for lack of standing. Harm translated into acceptable risk. Every victim worked in a role that required converting damage into language soft enough to ignore. New Year's resolutions aren't supernatural, they're administrative. Their self-issued mandates written during the only minute of the year when denial feels illegal. At 11:59, plausible deniability still holds. At 12, the language collapses. That's when the reckoning starts. At 5:59 a.m., my radio went silent. Not broken, not dead, empty. Then a voice cut through anyway, thin, distorted, still alive, please. We found him kneeling in his living room. Gut on the floor, bullet hole inches above his head. His hands shook violently, teeth clicked together. He smiled and cried, like his body couldn't agree. Whether survival was permitted. I tried, he kept saying. I really tried. At the hospital, he told me his resolution was to stop lying to himself. I asked what that meant. He said, seeing numbers without smoothing faces instead of metrics, understanding that intention didn't matter, when outcomes stacked up like bodies. I asked why he missed. He stared at the floor. If I died, he said, the math would be clean. If I lived, I'd have to decide what restitution actually looks like. Most people never pause long enough to reach that point. Systems don't need to kill anyone. They just need to convince participants that accountability must be total, or meaningless. Partial honesty is hypocrisy. Living with contradiction is cowardice. Death becomes the cleanest compliance. I transferred off nights after that. Desk work, daylight, paper instead of bodies. My wife said I'd started correcting myself mid-sentence, like I was afraid of saying anything imprecise. She asked if I was okay. I told her yes, the word felt inaccurate. Every New Year's Eve since, at exactly 11:59 p.m., my radio goes silent. Every year, 60 seconds. In that minute, I don't hear a voice. I hear my own internal reports rewriting themselves. Every time I soften language to protect someone higher up, every arrest I downgraded, because it was inconvenient. Every time I called preservation of comfort, maintaining order. The system doesn't tell me to die, it asks something far more deranged. If you remove the lies, if you tally the harm, if you apply the standard evenly, what sentence do you deserve? The fireworks always start before I finish the calculation. Noise pours in. Merciful, blinding. I let it drown the silence. Because silence is when the system stops pretending, and I don't know how much longer I can.